Hello all and welcome to this Journey to 1 Million Gamerscore video update. A series that I'm doing in which I bring you the bulk of Gamerscore that I got within a sort of a fortnightly period and give you updates on what I got, how I got it, and hopefully a few tips and tricks along the way on completions and achievements in general. Okay, so let's crack on with February part 1, and in February I managed to get just over 10,000 Gamerscore, just over, quite literally. I got 10,075. So that started off with FIFA 18, but we'll get to that in a second, because early on in every one of these sort of time sections that I do, I like to cram a completion in very early doors. This was no exception, and early on I got the Mooseman done. It's been sitting in my back catalogue for a little while, and I used, as I always do, I used the guide from Mac91's channel. That video has a runtime of 1 hour and 5 minutes. With the pausing that I like to do along the way, this one was very easy to follow along with at the same time. However, there was the odd section where you needed to pause or just pause to sort of catch up with the video. 1 hour and a half, 1 hour and 45 minutes I think I spent in total with this game. Very easy completion, and another bang on guide from Macca. So I always put a link in my description to any guides I use. So there will be a link to his walkthrough page, which includes all the games that I use on it. So check the link in the description for that. Okay, so as I said, the month started off with FIFA 18 achievement. Basically, I wanted to pull out the achievement for getting promoted to the First Division Ultimate Team because I knew I had the skill to do it, despite it being difficult. And believe me, the difficulty curve when you get to the top divisions, with points margin and the difficulty that they put the opponents up to, obviously being the odd legendary game thrown in, made that 80G achievement not easy to get, and probably in total took me about 10 to 12 hours to do, because you can't just play 6 games like in the first few leagues you can do. You have to play pretty much nearly all of them. There's not a lot of error for margin with losses and draws. But anyway, so I actually snuck one in before midnight on the 31st, thinking that I was done for January, because I've been trying to do that for ages, and it's real hit and miss. Is in the detection for actually it counting, but it actually finally counted. I think you have to get it up the field quickly, and within a certain time limit, as well as your opponent barely touching it, or if they're not allowed to touch it. So I've been trying for ages, and I know how to do it. I think you have to hold left bumper and A or B, I can't remember which one it is, to throw it up. Look that up, but I actually managed to get it done. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so I got that within going for the Ultimate Team achievement, and after I had enough for that one night, because obviously it's a long time to get promoted to Division 1, I decided to quickly knock this achievement out. Now I can't give any specific achievement guide on YouTube acclaim for this, because I watched 2 or 3 and each one gave me a little bit of a trick that the other one missed out on. So there's no 100% perfect guide that I personally found, but between the 3 of them, they all gave me a little tip and trick in getting this done. But however, picking up scoring with the right foot was a real pain. So I actually spent half an hour, I think, to maybe even 45 minutes just trying to get that one achievement before I actually got it. So thank you, Messi, for being awesome at football. Okay, so yeah, I did eventually get to Division 1. It took me a long time, but there we go, it was worth it. And basically I wanted to be happily done with this game, rather than, I'm not going to have the entire completion, because I have a lot of Pro Clubs ones, and all my friends that play this game have long moved on to FIFA 19, as well as I don't really not into Pro Clubs as much. But one I did pick up, I noticed in the list that was outstanding, was the ultimate, this one here, the draft session. In previous FIFAs, I believe it's been fixed, and it hasn't had a difficulty sort of level select. This one does, so I just whacked it down at the beginner, played the 4 games. Literally, you can score 2 or 3 goals and put your controller down, because if you're not moving, the opposition doesn't challenge you on the beginner level. So just quickly knocked that out before I moved on. Anyway, so yep, done with FIFA 18. It's your typical football game. It has a bulk of easy achievements that can be done quickly, a bulk that takes time, and a bulk that has skill, and then a small bulk that is online. So, but yeah, I'm done with FIFA 18, so I can move on to FIFA 19 and get the journey done on that, plus others. Okay, Tetris Escape. This is an easy completion. There are several achievements in this tied to getting a certain amount of stars, but they are 25% and 50% of the stars, so you don't have to get all of them. There's also one for getting, or two for getting a certain amount of cups. Again, 25% and 50% of cups. Those are not that difficult, believe it or not, because I think there are 8 worlds, and it's only asking you to get half of them to unlock all those achievements. Cups appear after you get all 3 stars in level. It throws up 1 cup, basically. So that's not actually too difficult, believe it or not. So, I mean, let's have a quick look at this, because there's a certain amount of achievements that are so easy. They have a 100% unlock up rate, like getting your first cup. You have to do that to play the game, so that'll happen. Again, the first few levels are really easy, as like the first world is really easy. I mean, people have done it 100. You know, everyone that's played the game has unlocked that achievement. Changing all of them into a level and dying, just, you know, keep in mind that that's an achievement, and that's not difficult at all. Every time you move a space, it counts as walking over a box, so basically that is progressional and easy to come. There you go, that's the stars one I was talking about. That unlocks very early. Completing the second world. There are actually 8 worlds, and there are achievements that only tie to finishing the first 6. So, you know, you don't have to play the entire game to get your 1000 gamer score. There's the cups I was talking about. Dead by fall, you have to fall at least 3 spaces. Sorry, at least more than 3 spaces. And then your Tetromino will die when it hits the floor, and there's an achievement for that. Completely without getting any stars. There are a few occasions that you can do that. The first and easiest as well, I think, is level 2 in the 3rd world. You have to form a couple of Tetrominos to keep you away from the bottom of the level, and then towards the end of the level, just don't go back. Or I think there's a way you can put that Tetromino to actually block the star and get to the exit. So, yep, look for the 2nd level in the 3rd world, and that will be easy. Again, another progression one that will come very quickly, believe it or not. Completing 3rd world. Again, another one. Every time you finish a level, you'll save a certain amount of Tetras. So that will be progression one easy. Completing 4th world. Again, like I said to you, these are the top markers, you know, for getting stars and cups. So that shouldn't be too difficult. As we'll get 5th world. The floor is lava. Burn all Tetras in the same level. World 6 is where you get introduced to lava, and the 2nd level in World 6, you can literally just hold left and have everyone in turn take their turn to fall into the lava. I think there's about 7 or 8 Tetrominos in that level, but it doesn't take long for them to sort of walk in it, and you'll get that really easily. And then once you finish that world, you'll get your final finishing world achievement, and that just leaves you to grind out some easier levels. Try and find ones with as many Tetras in as possible to do that, and it's not difficult completion at all, but you'll probably spend 3 or 4 hours with it, but not difficult at all. Okay, so next on the list, right, this isn't me playing these games again. This is me finally fixing the error code on my laptop, which was preventing me from downloading games. I finally looked that up on YouTube videos. Thank you, YouTube, aren't you great? And got it fixed, and then I thought I was hit some of the easier Neo Geos, and this time round, unlike in my original video where I talk about a quarter of a mil, where I was just about to just say this is easy, this is how long it'll take, I can actually go back and talk to them about them in depth and give you guys more tips and tricks and ideas on how easy they are. And as soon as I got it unlocked, got my laptop fixed, it's basically AC Neo Geo World Heroes. This has got to be the easiest of the Neo Geo games by a long shot. I thought I would spend 25 minutes doing this. I have a video series called All the Pops, and this is in that series. As I thought that video runtime would be 25 minutes. I think it was 15. Literally, just watch that and you'll see how to do it, but it's not difficult at all. Neo Geo Z-Blade does require some skill, but with a bit of practice and a little bit of experimental with the levels and sort of mapping how they work, or how the levels are, should I say, mapping how the levels are and getting used to them. The tighter score margins, the top score margins, should I say, on high score mode and caravan mode, which is the tight one actually, you'll get it done. But the main thing you must do is to, on the character select screen, pick the far left bloke who is dubbed as slow because he accumulates points fast. So I can't emphasize that enough. when I first played it first time around, I picked the slow guy, the fast guy on the right even, because I thought his speed would help. The slow guy's speed is fast enough, and that fast speed actually means his points increments just for shooting walls and things like that is only 10, whereas the slow blokes is 50. So that is a main trick in getting the top bracket, certainly on caravan mode, because it's tight. I have done a video specifically on caravan mode top bracket, in which if you follow the tips rather than follow it 100%. It's hard to follow a side-scrolling shooter, isn't it? But there's a moment in the second level where you want to use your bombs to kill this caterpillar-looking thing on the floor, because it will slow you down. Anyway, if you want to go for the completion on that video on this game, then please watch that video, because I do give tips and tricks at the end of that as well for a full completion as well, like knocking it up to 99 lives and put it down to level 1 when you are going for the original mode achievements. But anyway, let's move on from that. I was going to say, once you got the hang of it, if you because I'm playing it for the second time, I think first time around it took me a couple of hours to work all this out, but because I knew everything when I just revisited it, honestly, under an hour, because I'd got the hang of the game. And I do love side-scrolling shoot-up from back in the day. Though this one is challenging without being horrendously difficult, so it's a lot of fun to play anyway. Right, move on again. The King of Fighters 94. I love the King of Fighters series, so having got 100% on them all first time round, I'm going to probably end up going through all these again. And now my mind is refreshed, I can advise you that King of Fighters 94 is probably one of the trickiest ones to do, and that is purely and solely because of the caravan mode's top scoring marker of being 50,000. It is so tight to get because of the obviously it's a 3-on-3 elimination fight in King of Fighters, and the time it takes between getting from the first fight to the second fight slows you down, and it's tight to get 2 fights in. So the ways you can do this is have a very, very good first fight with a couple of perfects in, or get 2 fights in and hopefully it's enough, because just going for a standard fight without concentrating on trying to get perfect will score you anywhere between 20 and 25,000, or just over 25,000. Obviously, I don't need to tell you maths here. 25,000 is half of what you need if you need 50k. So it's going to be tight. The trick I used is what I call the perfect trick. I mean, go for the perfect from the off. If you get hit, what you want to then do, and you want to do it on the easiest one, which is just the first one, in all modes, by the way, is basically if you get hit while you're going for your perfect on against the first pattern, beat them down to within a pixel, and then have them completely wipe you out. Being as easy as you should be able to recover from this. They will gain some energy, but obviously their energy bar will only be, I don't know, about a tenth of what it should be, which is basically 2 lots of successful basic attacks. So, and then because you have a full health bar, it then counts as a perfect. If you have any of your bar missing, even if you manage to start a fight, say with just a tenth of your bar missing, and then don't take a hit, it doesn't register as a perfect. So that is my main tip in getting that 50,000 achievement. However, 50,000 achievement, the top caravan mode scoring achievement. However, oh Christ, I remembered how frustrating this was first time around. It took me multiple attempts, and I put quite a bit of time into getting 100% again, but I knew I could do it, so I did do it. However, King of Fighters 95, they rectified that. Basically, they made the point scoring margin 40,000, and you can, it's a lot kinder, and yeah, again, just once you get a team that you're quite happy with, you should be able to get through this one in an hour to 2 hours. It's not that difficult. So the only annoying thing about King of Fighters 94, as I say, is fixed teams. So again, you're going to have to get used to a team that's basically made for you, that you're happy with. I ended up with a team from Brazil, which was Hayden, Ralph and Clark. I found them very good, especially as Hayden, should have thrown this in as a tip straight away. Hayden has a very long range flying kick and very long range sweep. Found it a lot of help. He does also appear in this game, but you can mix and match teams, which is great. Okay, so another completion, and this game, if it was trying to be a spiritual successor to Road Rash, sadly failed. It's not great, and the annoying thing about it is someone said to me, there's a Road Rash game which is open world. I've been like, oh, that sounds interesting, because I love Road Rash back in the day, and it was an awesome little game. And this, oh dear, it's not. I'm really sorry, but it's not. And a lot of that is down, sadly, to just glitchiness and bugginess. and there's grindy achievements in it as well, so you'll end up putting a lot of time into it as well. There's no way around it, even though it's not difficult. Might be worth overlooking it, but I say the buggy achievements were you just get stuck on bridges where you'd been knocked into the air. Sometimes you get knocked flying into the air. When you swing your weapon and you hit opponent, when I was grinding out the 1000 pedestrian hits, it would just randomly throw me back at the speed of light, literally off the map and through, and I was like, oh dear. And even the hit detection isn't great either. It's just such a shame because the premise is brilliant. But anyway, let's look over the game. As I say, a lot of it isn't that difficult. There's just grindy stuff at the end. Say hitting I'll get to the hitting the pedestrians in a minute, but a lot of it is story related and progressional. Anything to do with spending money will pretty much come if you're just playing the game through. All these buy a new bike. Literally, you have to buy bikes to enter some part of the story modes. You'll absolutely fly through for the money targets here. Collectibles, that's a good one. The collectibles guide, seriously use a guide. I used one. I've done a new section in my playlist called Guys I've Used Successfully, and within that you will find a Road Rage collectibles one, which was bang on for me. So use that, otherwise, because you'll spend ages finding them. Otherwise, it will significantly reduce your time, as you'll see by the percentage of gamers that have unlocked that achievement. Buy 3 weapons, buy 5 weapons. Pretty simple. I would. Once you get to a weapon you're comfortable with, don't go buying weapons. Save your money for because you'll need to get a certain amount of upgrades per bike to enter some levels, as well as having a specific bike. So save your money for bikes and things like that. And only buy a weapon that's you're comfortable with. For me, I would recommend when you unlock the katana, use that. This game has an annoying, when you hit a pedestrian, it has an annoying sort of slow-mo sort of sequence, and I wish it didn't have it. You know, it's nice to watch once or twice, but when you need to do it 1,000 times, it gets a pain in the ass. So when you get the katana, use that weapon. It's quick to use, it's much quicker animation, and the hit detection is better. So once you get that, and then towards the end of the game, once you've got all the other achievements and you have some excess money, just buy 5 weapons. I wish I did that. It would have sped my game up a bit quicker. These are all progressional. Upgrade a bike, again, buy a bike part. You'll need to do that to enter some of the story modes. Another collectible there, and collectible, buy 3 bike parts, 5 bike parts, again, you'll need to do all that. So these are all, let's say, collectibles where you should use the guide, or progressional. Buy 5 bikes, that will take some money, so bear that in mind when you're going for it. And at the end here, coming up, is the grindy ones. 500 pedestrians, 1000 pedestrians, a real pain. I learnt that just hitting them with your bike does not count at all. So if you touch them with your bike and they fall to the floor, does not count. You need to hit them with your weapon. And once the 500 one unlocks, and it was the last achievement I had left, I actually tried to count, and I actually got to 1000 and it still hadn't unlocked, despite the fact I'd been hitting each pedestrian with the weapon. Anyway, the only thing I can surmise is sometimes money didn't go up in the corner despite going through the slow motion process. So keep your eye on it, make sure it goes into that horrible slow-mo process, and also just make sure your money goes up, and I think that counts as one. Sadly, the achievements don't track as they happen. Again, another bugbear of this game, but within the stats it does have pedestrians hit, so that you can quit out and come to this screen and you'll know how far you've got, and there you go. That's the time I put into this game, and it wasn't that enjoyable, sorry. It was very grindy, but that was the weapon I used very early on when I got it, and eventually found the katana, which was much quicker. So it's an easy completion, but as you'll see, you'll put a lot of time into it to do it. Right, not a lot to add to this one. Walking Dead Michonne. I've now played this game, this version, that's the 4th time. Played it on the Xbox One as part of the collection. I played it recently again somewhere else, but this is the Xbox 360 version, as you'll see in the little picture there. It's the only Xbox 360 Walking Dead one. I think it has 1,000 Gamerscore tied to it. I think the other two before it don't. They only have 500 and 600. and this one has the 1000 and is the last Walking Dead game available on the 360. It's also the quickest and easiest as well. So I like the Walking Dead games. I like Telltale games, except for Minecraft Story Mode. So I have no trouble in playing them over and over again, and I will probably be playing it again for actually what's the 4th time. I'm sorry, this is the 3rd time I played it. For the 4th time now, I've got my laptop fixed because it's available on the Windows 10 store there. So expect to see that in an update video again. But the good thing about this one is there's absolutely nothing missable. If you give yourself a broad margin of 2 to 3 hours per chapter, per episode, sorry, there's only 3 of them. You're not going to go far off, but I think I've done each one in about a couple because I've just got so used to it now. But the good thing about revisiting it is you can do all the other options. But anyway, quick, easy completion, and I'm still worried about the Telltale games leaving because of Telltale going bust and not being available. So I am going to be playing nearly every version on every console that I own, basically. So I still have that to revisit. Right, The Wolf Among Us has been sitting in my backlog for God knows how long, probably 3 years or so. Anyway, it's another Telltale game, and 5 of the achievements amongst this are technically missable. They are missable, sorry, but you might pick up one of them if you make the right choice, basically, in a couple of the episodes. But however, some of the episodes have multiple options that you need to take in order to help unlock something, and that something is completing the Book of Fables. That has entries within each episode. So completing all Book of Fables episode 1. At the end of that, I'm not going to do story spoilers, but you're given a choice of 2 things to do. Each choice is a Book of Fables entry there. So basically look up a guide and find out where all the Book of Fables entries that are missable are, which is what I did. Do the option that you don't want to do in the story, and then what I did is basically quit out to the main menu, reload the last save point, or the last part of the chapter I was up to, and then restart it and then pick the other options, and it will say the Book of Fables entries. So bear in mind the Book of Fables things, but that's only 5 achievements because there are 5 episodes. So, but it's a shame about Telltale, honestly, because this game was a lot of fun and it was a great story. I really enjoyed it. As I say, the wolf is a fairy tale character basically, and it's fairy tale characters living in a real world, with a murder that needs to be solved going on basically. A lot of fun. Expect to put 15 hours into it because of the time it takes and the fact you have to replay some certain chapters, take certain approaches to some characters, the same character basically, and also some of them are just making sure you interact with certain items which you don't have to interact with to progress. So honestly, read the guide, make sure you don't miss any fables, so you can kind of get it down in one playthrough, because you obviously replay little bits. But a good game, really enjoyable. Okay, I've just spoke about this in depth at the beginning of January part 1, so just go back to watch that in the last 5 minutes to save me talking about it all over again. I do bring up in January part 2 that please do not buy their premium service of getting double XP and double coins. You will get them along the way. Okay, another Android game that I have started playing, Microsoft Solitaire Collection. I'm going to talk about this in depth in another video because just basically I've just started playing it casually. I put about an hour in, going across the modes and playing some daily challenges, and that's basically what's unlocked along the way without me really trying. So all I can say for now is play it for an hour, play many modes, and you'll get 270 Gamerscore. Okay, I want to start trying to play some of my longer games as well. So I started playing Far Cry 5 Primal, which has been in my backlog for a while, and with it I've put about 12 hours into it so far, and some of those are progressional and killing a certain amount of things. I would say as a whole this looks like an easy completion, but you're going to probably put in some hours into getting it. I mean, there are some lengthy stuff to do, as well as I would say there are going to be some tricky achievements which I'm not looking forward to getting or having a go at, should I say. I will try and get them, and they're rare achievements. That's not actually going to be too difficult once you know how to use it. And that's these 2 here, even though that's not actually a rare one. But target 50 feet away or more using spear, and 70 feet away or more using an arrow. They're going to be your your annoying ones, I would say. And the only thing I will say is once you get your owl unlocked, you can use him to set a marker, a waypoint. That's the word. And that waypoint is how many feet away, obviously, from the waypoint you are. So you can almost tag an enemy basically with that, and then you'll know how far away they are. So I mean, that's the tip that I'm giving before I've even got the achievements, but that's something I've kind of worked out. So yeah, but as I say, I reckon about 40 hours it's probably going to take to get that done. But yeah, it's one game I'm visiting sort of in chunks while I go through all my other games and play my other games that I'm just playing for Gamerscore as well. So yeah, Far Cry Primal. I'll once I'm done that, I'll get on with Far Cry 3 Classic. I think do love a Far Cry game, got to be honest with you. But a lot of people hate on it. I'm quite enjoying it, but it is too samey to basically stay with it all day, I would say. And then I finished off with the just playing the Power Rangers game, which I've had sat in my backlog for ages because I picked it up in a sale ages ago, real cheap. And it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. Even though I was never into Power Rangers as a kid, it was kind of a little after my time. But I like side-scrolling beat 'em up, so I thought I'd give it a try, and I finally got around to giving it a try. And all the achievements are worth 50G except for one. It's not an easy completion, I know that off the bat, and it probably won't be a completion for me. So I just sat with it for a couple of hours last night and got these ones here up to here, mastering the power, without really trying actually, or even thinking about it, just playing the game. And then I had a look at the achievement list, and I thought, before I sign off, I do have 2 controllers. I'm going to morph with another player at the same time, so controller 2, and then I'm just going to let him get beat up loads of times and revive him by tapping LT. So yeah, I just nicked another 100 out of it, which actually got me over the 10,000 for this first part of the game. But the reason why it won't be a completion is there are some real difficult achievements. Complete a level without receiving damage, and there's complete a chapter without defeating damage. But I will play it a bit more because 400 enemies, all bosses, 600 enemies. And some of these other non-rare ones I would imagine will come along without difficulty. But yeah, those 2 without getting damaged, it's going to be real difficult. That's why they have such a low unlock percentage. And this one here, Co-op Strike, with 2, 3 and 4 players. I only have 3 controllers at the moment, so that may happen one day, but won't happen for a while. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is February Part 1 wrapped up. So I hope this video has helped you in some ways, perhaps give you an idea on games you may want to buy yourself for completions, and then obviously boost your gamer score as well. So here's to February Part 2, and at the moment I would say February Part 2, this has been my lowest so far this year, but we're only on video 3, and I've still managed to break the 10,000 mark. I hope to break the 10,000 mark every sort of fortnightly period, or every half period of every month. But at the moment I have an idea for March in the back of my head to go for something which might be a little bit more impressive. And also this month is, although I have a backlog of games, I keep an eye out for buying new games that are cheap and that are easy, but I have a budget, because obviously, as you can imagine, you spend a lot of money trying to get from $250,000 to $1 million game score over a period of time, and the budget was blown quite a bit on pre-ordering the super duper top version of Mortal Kombat 11, which I cannot wait for in late April. So wait for that. I might do some achievement videos on that, hopefully, as well as talk about it in the video updates that I do for it. But anyway, people, thank you for watching. Because I'm going to wrap this up now, so it does leave me just say thank you for watching, and as always, please take care.